morning, welcome to EMTV. Students have a hard time mentally. Via our Instagram, we received several messages from students who are struggling. You are not alone is the message from our two guests today. We will talk to Razan and Alexandra in a minute, but first, news. From Monday onwards, students may attend college on campus 1 day a week again. It is not known yet which students will be allowed to return or when this will become clear. Faculties will inform their students the coming days. More than half of the students would not voluntarily test themselves for corona prior to a campus visit. This is according to a survey by EM. A national bill is being prepared to make such testing compulsory again. 40% would still refuse according to our survey. 68 students of Management of International Social Challenges sent an open letter to the board of their faculty. The letter is a cry for help, so they say. The students express their frustrations about workload and overlapping deadlines. They are feeling burnt out, depressed, and some are even having suicidal thoughts. And as already mentioned, mental health is the theme of this episode. To know more about students' mental health state, our reporter Michelle Freites took a stroll around campus and talked to some students.
We are now for more than a year in the corona pandemic, and lots of students are having a hard time. Today I've talked with students about their personal experiences and their well-being. Have you experienced any negative feelings?
There's been a lot of frustration, mostly with not being able to have a normal first year experience at university, which then leads into anger and also demotivation a lot of times, because when you can't have fun, you also don't want to work as hard.
It's hard to keep motivated and try to study, go to the class, but it's just in your room, in the computer, so it's very demotivated, but at least I had the support for my family.
And have you experienced any inspirational things and positive outcomes out of the corona crisis?
I just think that if we had a limit before, we stretched that limit, which means that we are able to do more things independently now compared to before, at least I did.
I think learning my own time, my own schedule. So now I'm working until later, but having an easier morning. So something that before I didn't have, and now I can follow more my body needs.
Yeah, hang in there, students. From Wednesday onwards, more is possible. The curfew will be lifted and terraces can be open to a limited extent again. But many people, and also a lot of students, have developed issues regarding their mental health. We should talk to each other about this and try to help one another. That is the clear message of our guests today. Virtually present are psychology students Alexandra Pop and Razan Rashid. They both developed mental health problems during the corona crisis. Welcome to you both, Alexandra, Rashid. I would first like to know how you both are doing. Razan, let's start with you. How are you feeling at the moment?
Well, if I talk about it right now at this very moment, I can safely say that I'm pretty much stressed out. I have a tutorial in 3 hours and I'm kind of underprepared. So, but overall, it's been kind of going down. I've been feeling a little more burnt out lately, really tired. Everything has become a bit more overwhelming. And I'm not really good with stress management either, so that's not working out well. It's all sort of, it feels too much in a sense.
Thank you for being so honest, because this is of course how a lot of students feel, because there is not, a lot of to do outside your home or waiting for your next lecture. Alexandra, do you recognize what Razan is saying? Are you feeling the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to have a tutorial now, but I will obviously be a bit late. I am also a bit underprepared, and in general, I've been feeling down because I can't really do much. I can't really go out and do stuff. I'm locked in my room all day, and as a lot of students, said it feels really demotivating.
Yeah, is that also why you say I'm not well properly prepared for the lecture I'm having? Because it's hard to find motivation to get out of bed, even perhaps.
Yeah, sometimes I really have a hard time waking up and having the motivation to get started and study, and it can get really boring when I'm supposed to study at home just with my laptop and read all the articles. It would be better if I just um, could do it, for example, at the university or maybe outside, but
Did you ever attend a lecture even? Because you're both first years. Did you ever saw your classmates?
no.
That must be really weird.
It is very weird. I have some friends who attended lectures on campus, but I have never.
No,
I'm
and
still waiting for that moment.
yeah, and you both describe these feelings, and you're definitely not alone. More students feel bad because we spoke to other students through our Instagram, and here you see just 4 of those reactions. One is saying creeping into a depression. Another one is saying that it's starting to feel like a boring Groundhog Day, just repeating itself over and over again. You both found help. You both talked to a psychologist yourselves. But Razan, you also decided to, help others with their mental health problems. So you launched this Instagram page, Your Safe Space. And you explain here, or try to explain, different mental health issues, from anxiety to depression. Can you tell me why you decided to start this page?
Well, overall, like the concept of mental health was it attracted me because I noticed that in my culture it was like very, very neglected in a sense, and I sort of wanted to break that stigma. But what actually triggered it was the Corona crisis, if I'm being honest, because overall among students I've noticed, but not just students, also people who work, people who have to work at home, and you're just constantly at home, and you're constantly eating, sleeping, working on repeat in the same room, in the same 4 walls, and it gets more and more difficult. So I just decided, what, maybe I learned stuff at university, so why not just share my knowledge? Sometimes I try to do extra research on the side too, for people who want to know about something else that we haven't gotten into yet. But it was like the purpose of it was mostly to sort of educate people, but also in the same time introduce some coping strategies, and also just letting them know that they're not alone, that there are a lot of people that are actually struggling with the same thing, especially during these times.
Yeah, because your view is that you cannot work on something that you cannot recognize. Is knowledge the thing that you are offering people who follow your account?
That's part of what I'm trying to do. Like, I try to kind of, for instance, let's take anxiety as an example. For instance, what does anxiety look like? Where does it come from? What does it feel like? But also how you can deal with it. And indeed, as you said before, like the first step of it is recognizing the problem. What makes me anxious? Why am I feeling anxious in this at this moment? And this is all like a part of dealing with your mental problems, indeed. And
Alexandra, you developed a year ago, when this whole pandemic went down on all of us, you developed some mental health issues. If you would have, for example, an account like this, do you think it would have helped you recognize it sooner?
I honestly think so. I think Razan's Instagram page is very important, and it gets like it gives a lot of knowledge. It can help you recognize some symptoms earlier than well I mean, it's very important to know your symptoms and talk to somebody before getting really, really burned out or really depressed, and then yeah, and then it's much difficult to get out of that state.
Yeah, and of course, we talked to each other before this interview, and you told me that in Romania, where you're from, that it's quite still taboo. And Rashid already told us that she's spent several years in Iraq, and that's also quite a place where mental health is not being addressed all the time. But how was it for you, being still in Romania last year and developing these feelings? Was everybody helpful around you? Did they say, go find help now, this is what you're dealing with?
No, a lot of people would just tell me to, like, get over yourself. It's just you're just sad, or you're just exaggerating. I don't know, get some sleep. They wouldn't really advise me to go see a therapist, because therapists are still considered kind of taboo. They're considered just for crazy people. And yeah, I started seeing a therapist, but I mostly kept it to myself.
But now you both feel that opening up is so important. Do you have any other tips? Because, well, we have seen you guys are not alone in those feelings. What would you recommend to other students?
I would personally recommend them to go and talk to someone specialized, so like a therapist, or psychologist. Even the lecturers that are doing, like, the psychology lecturers can help you sometimes.
Just find help.
Yeah, basically just find help. It's not that bad. And a psychologist can really help you to understand your feelings, and understand why you're feeling that way, and how you can get over it, or what can help you mostly.
Yeah, Razan, is there anything you want to add to this?
Yes, I definitely think it's important to see a professional first, of course. But I feel what also really helps, and what I don't see a lot of people doing, is actually talking about your problems on a daily basis with the people you trust. So, for instance, you've been feeling depressed lately, or it's something that's been bothering you. It's always good to talk to a friend about it. I've been feeling like this lately. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm confused. And they may be able to help you too. It's also sort of like outlet of something that's been building up within you. And also, like, another tip that I usually use is, for instance, looking at the problem from a third person's perspective. So sort of detaching yourself from the problem. For instance, let's say somebody with anxiety has been thinking about, for instance, this interview. I'm really worried about stumbling on my words, and then you have, like, for instance, if I detach myself from that problem and I say, okay, if I stumble upon my words, what would a stranger think? Or if I saw somebody in an interview just, kind of getting tongue-tied, what would I think? I wouldn't think anything of it. It's normal. It's usual, and it kind of helps you simplify the problem for yourself. It's not as nerve-wracking as you make it to be. And that usually helps me a lot, and maybe, others too.
Well, I think you and Alexandra did an amazing job. Thank you both that you wanted to join us, and thank you both that you wanted to share your story and feelings with us. And so for all of you who are struggling with their mental health, you are not alone. Normally we end the show with a funny video, or I think that are funny, but today we close with some tips on where you can find help. These tips are for students, but the university also offers help for employees. For now, thank you all for watching. EMTV will be back next Thursday again at 9 a.m. And here are some tips for you on where to find help.